Hello, BookTube. Well, I believe this makes book haul number 8 of 2017. It's a lot of book hauls. It's a lot of books. Are you absolutely sure you're not getting sick of it? For now, anyway. We'll see. This was this morning's delivery. Kind of ironic that I had a stack of books that I was mailing out this morning. I was putting in a bag to lug to the post office. Right as I was leaving, a stack of equal size came in. So I'm only barely keeping my nose at water level. Okay, we saw something like this a little while ago on this channel. Another book. This is Hold Back the Night by Pat Frank, the author of Alas Babylon, a science fiction classic. And we saw something else. What was it? Forbidden Area. So I guess Harper is doing these nice minimalist reprints of all of Pat Frank. That's fantastic. Okay, so all right, it's not only fantastic, it's kind of rare. The reprint culture, especially for somebody who's viewed as a genre author, is kind of weak in America. All right, so January 24th, this comes out. I imagine they all probably come out around then. That's interesting. I wonder what's behind that. I mean, you know that Alas Babylon will sell, but don't get me wrong, I'm happy about it. I wish more reprints happened in America. Look at all the stuff that I read that is never going to be reprinted. No one's ever going to do it. You have this thing right here. This is a 100-year-old biography of Bess of Hardwick. I'm writing a review of a big opulent new book about Hardwick Hall, and it's a wonderful old book. It's from I showed this book on this channel before because it's the only book in my library that has the Moody's library sticker, which only a few of you Victorian eggheads will even know. But it was an amazing thing when I saw it at the Brattle. But this is 1910, and there have been 2 Bess of Hardwick biographies since then that I know of, but none with the verve of this. And a 1910 biography of Bess of Hardwick is never going to be reprinted, plain and simple. The author has fallen completely out of favor. No one knows her name. All of her works are gone. And the subject has moved on. Now, the research has not moved on. There's very little in that book that needs to be updated or changed. It's not like we've discovered a box full of letters that Bess of Hardwick wrote to her husband or anything like that. And yet the thing is gone. It will never be back in print. And the same thing is becoming more and more true. Houses are becoming more and more parsimonious, even about big names. Like, for instance, the other day I mentioned Sir Ronald Sim. His 2-volume history of Tacitus will never come back into print. No one will ever reprint that. And his other things, his study of Sallust. But anyway, this next one is something we've seen here on this channel before, In This Grave Hour. This is the new Macy Dobbs book. And that nose belongs to my good girl here, who's been ousted from her spot. So this comes out in March. I will almost certainly be reviewing this, hopefully for the Christian Science Monitor, because after a year, I'm getting to know the audience of the Christian Science Monitor, and it's just what they want. So I don't think it'll be very hard to convince an editor that it's a good idea. Oh, good. Okay. All right. This comes out on April 4th. And this is The Romance Reader's Guide to Life by Sharon Pill. It is post-World War II, and 2 sisters are trying to make their way in the world. Lily is a beauty who juggles men. Aren't they always called Lily? Neve is a bookworm who would rather read about love than experience it. When Lily disappears, her sister must figure out not only what happened to her, but also if she's next. And how she does this, with the help of her favorite pirate romance novel, the ghost of her childhood dog, who is now a talking cross-dresser, and an unlikely love interest, makes for a novel that is equally a page-turner and a thoughtful examination of the guiltiest pleasure it might contain the essential truth. Okay. Once again, as has been a frequent, semi-caution of mine, that description sounds like the author's biting off more than they can chew, but you never know. It could easily be the winner of the season. We shall see. Oh, okay. Wow, great. Okay, so these are 2 Kirkus books. That's good. That's very good. That's money. That's just what you want. But it'll be of no interest to you. Let's move on here. What's this next one? 3 Envelopes by Nir Hezroni. Nir Hezroni? Is that Israeli? I'm asking. I've got the pub sheet in my hand, and I'm asking you. Let's see here. Nir Hezroni was born in Jerusalem. After studying physics in high school and completing several years of military service as intelligence, Hezroni retired to study economics and business management. He then proceeded to build a career in high tech. In 2014, he published his first thriller, 3 Envelopes, which was enthusiastically received by critics and readers alike. He lives with his family near Tel Aviv. Okay, so is this from 2000? No, this was translated by Stephen Cohen. Now, it was translated in 2017. Okay, so, which means, I should probably tell you about the book, shouldn't I? Agent 10483 carried out his missions perfectly. Too perfectly. That's what they say about my reviews. So perfectly that he needed to be stopped. After Avner, a top agent in the organization, capital O, receives a notebook written by the mysterious Agent 10483, 10 years after his supposed death, he realizes that 10483, can we call him Ralph, please, may still be very much alive and dangerous. Okay, so it is a bestseller. It's translated into English from the Hebrew, but it sounds fairly standard. It might be written really well. But what I want to know, if any of you are watching from Tel Aviv or from Jerusalem, I'd like to know, the pub sheet says that this was a hit, that it was enthusiastically reviewed by critics and readers alike when it first came out 3 years ago in Hebrew. So could you, if you recall that, could you tell me a little about it? That would be great. But anyway, this comes out in America. This comes out in April. So let's move on. An Israeli thriller bestseller. I tell you, I love my job. Oh, good. Some of you may have seen this on, for instance, I think, did Chris Rhodes show it, or was it Thomas from SFF 180? One of the other hold up and look at it booktube channels, or those of us who are getting new books in the mail. This is The Bear and the Nightingale, which is what is certainly going to be the prettiest U.S. cover of the year. This is by Catherine Arden. I believe this is a debut. She was born in Austin, spent a year of high school in France, followed her acceptance to Middlebury College in Vermont. She deferred enrollment for a year in order to live and study in Moscow. Goodness gracious. Been all over. At Middlebury, she specialized in French and Russian literature. After receiving her BA, she moved to Maui. I'd almost rather read about her than read her book. Working every kind of odd job imaginable, from grant writing to making crepes and guiding horse trips. Currently, she lives in Vermont, but really, you never know. Oh, man, that's awesome. Okay. All right, well, I love the author already. And, of course, I needless to say, in the 21st century, she's also beautiful. But I have heard only wonderful things about this book. This comes out... Okay, it's out already. And it is a debut. At the edge of the Russian wilderness, winter lasts most of the year, and the snowdrifts grow taller than houses. But Vasilisa took that once for a torn tendon. She doesn't mind. She spends the winter nights huddled around the embers of a fire with her beloved siblings, listening to her Norse's fairy tales. Above all, she loves the chilling story of Frost, the blue-eyed winter demon, who appears in the frigid night to claim unwary souls. Wise Russians fear him, her nurse says, and honor the spirits of house and yard and forest that protect their homes from evil. After Vasilisa Cold Cream, after her mother dies, her father goes to Moscow and brings home a new wife. Fiercely devout, city-bred, Cold Cream's new stepmother forbids her family from honoring the household spirits. The family acquiesces, but Cold Cream is frightened, sensing that more hinges upon their rituals than anyone knows. Oh, my. Oh, my. Okay, so this is a much talked about fantasy debut. It has a beautiful cover. It has an absolutely winning author. And it's a reworking of a fairy tale, which is all the rage these days. So that the only thing left is whether or not it's any good. I will read it and I will let you know. Oh my. All right, let's see what we have here. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. This is the finished copy. This is due in early February of A Miracle for Breakfast. This is Megan Marshall's new book about Elizabeth Bishop. And I read it, and it is fantastic. Just fantastic. That's great. Okay, so the finished copy. This is another thing that I very much want to review for as large an audience as possible. So I will make a nuisance of myself with editors far and wide, and then I will hope that the one with the largest circulation says yes. Although, the circulation of Open Letters Monthly per month, or even the Open Letters Weekly section that my colleagues very nicely let me play around in my little sandbox, the circulation of the actual traffic for that is not bad at all. It's not bad in the slightest. As an audience, it's not a bad audience to have, considering that it's a free online literary journal that was started by three friends as a hobby. That's it. I think it's a nice testimony to the quality of writing that we put out in the last 10 years, that the publishing world has sort of noticed. But nevertheless, the circulation for the Washington Post dwarfs us, and the circulation for the Christian Science Monitor also dwarfs us. And I think at last call, the circulation for the National in Abu Dhabi also dwarfs us. So, and this book, the reason that I'm talking about circulation at all, I actually don't. It doesn't affect the quality of the review. It certainly doesn't reflect the quality of the book. It's just when you're a reviewer and a book comes along, if you take it seriously, if you're not, I always call myself an old Bailey hack, and I am in terms of work habits, but not in terms of being a believer. I am a true believer in books. And when you find something, when something crosses your plate that you want to cry from the rooftops, if you're me, which I realize is a pretty big if, you immediately want the biggest audience possible, not for grandiose reasons, but to reach the highest number of people. And this is fantastic. It's just a fantastic book. So I've already read it. I will read it again. Great. So Miracle for Breakfast. Those of you who are Elizabeth Bishop fans, you absolutely can't miss it. I also might take this time to plug her book, One Art, a massive booktube style chunker that is one of those books it really has to be in everybody's collection. It really does. It's just superb. And then we have the last one. Okay, all right. I think we've seen this on this channel before. This is due in February, I believe. Yes, February. This is the Book Thieves, the Nazi looting of Europe's libraries and the race to return a literary inheritance. This is by Anders Rydell, who doesn't look happy. He has the most depressing subject in the world to write about, so I imagine not. He's a journalist, an editor, and an author of nonfiction. As the head of culture at a major Swedish media group, Rydell directs the coverage of arts and culture in 14 newspapers. His two books on the Nazis, The Book Thieves and The Looters, have been translated into 16 languages. The Book Thieves is his first work published in English. Okay. So he has a book called The Looters that came out before this. And it sounds like a prequel to this. Sounds like the stealing of the artwork, whereas this is the repatriation of the artwork. So, I once again turn to all of you. What language can I find the looters in? I'm pretty good. You can pretty much leave the reading part to me. All I need is an accessible language. This thing says it was translated into 16 languages. Is there a French version? Is there a German version? Let me know. Because now I want to read it. Great. Okay, so the Nazi looting of Europe's libraries. All right, so that is our book haul for today. Book haul 8, I believe. I'll check my math. So we've got The Book Thieves, World War II era book. No Steve book haul would be complete without one. Then a great book, one of the great biographies of 2017, A Miracle for Breakfast. Then Bear and the Nightingale. Lots of buzz, lots of word of mouth. I think a lot of booktubers will probably talk about it, and that's great. Then The Romance Reader's Guide to Life. Then the new Maisie Dobbs. Then Pat Frank, the ongoing Pat Frank reprint series. That's very interesting. 3 Envelopes, an Israeli thriller that was a hit, and 2 Kirkus books that need not concern us. So that was the book haul, and it was a lot of fun to do. And keep in mind that this book haul, unlike a lot of them, comes with homework for you. I want to know if there's a copy of The Looters that I can get in a language that I can read, and I want to know if if Nir Hezroni really is a household literary name in Tel Aviv. So those of you who are on the ground where you might do me some good, speak up in the comments field. And otherwise, I'll see you later, BookTube. Thank you.